It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.
The champion!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hi, I'm Rupha Ramani and welcome to Firstpost. Now, sport is the true test of character, of persistence, stamina, grit and patience. It sometimes is also a constant battle between the brain and the body. The biggest superstars in sports are those who can will their brain to command their body, go over the threshold of pain and emerge victorious. Today we speak of two gladiators. How did Glenn "Mad" Maxwell unleash fury on the road to the semi-final? And just how close did Afghanistan get to stopping the Aussies in Mumbai? The other is tennis's #1 Novak Jovic. He continues to be proof that age is just a number. Novak reveals he was fighting illness all through his way to the Paris Masters title win. And also who is most likely to face India in the Cricket World Cup semi-final. All the answers right here on Firstpost. But before, let's take a look at all the headlines in the world of sports in Sports 360. Starting with football, Manchester City beat Swiss club Young Boys 3-0 in yesterday's match. The game was played at Man City's home ground, Etihad Stadium. Striker Erling Haaland scored twice for the Sky Blues. The third goal for Man City came from Phil Foden. AC Milan beat PSG 2-1 in an intense Champions League match last night. Striker Milan Skriniar put PSG on the scoreboard first with a goal in the 9th minute. 3 minutes later, Milan equalized on a goal from Rafael Leao. In the second half, Olivier Giroud scored on a header to seal the win for AC Milan. Portugal defender Pepe has become the oldest goal scorer in Champions League history. 40-year-old Pepe scored in the 91st minute for his club FC Porto. The veteran's goal helped Porto clinch a 2-0 win over Royal Antwerp in the group match. Pepe broke another record of being the oldest outfield player in Champions League history. In hockey, the Indian women's team has jumped to the 6th position in the world rankings. This comes after they recently clinched the Asian Champions Trophy title after beating Japan 4-0. The women in blue were ranked 8th before winning the Asian title. This is the Indian women's team's best ranking till date. And Indian batter Shubman Gill has climbed to the world #1 ranking in the ODI format. He has gone past Pakistan captain Babar Azam to claim the top spot. Meanwhile, Gill's compatriot Mohammad Siraj is now the world #1 bowler in ODIs. Siraj moved up 2 spots to dethrone Pakistan pacer Shaheen Shah Afridi. Team India too are now sitting at the #1 spot in the team ODI rankings. The big story of the day, the nail-biter of a match that Afghanistan and Australia played on Tuesday. Keeping Mumbai's crowd on their toes, the Wankhede Stadium was entertained for hours. A night that has gone down in history books, a match that is arguably the biggest show that this World Cup has produced. Australia snatched victory away from a clinical Afghanistan till one man came in their way. The 3-wicket win was no ordinary act. Let's start with Afghanistan. The young team has made a mark on cricket's world stage. Everyone only has empathy for Afghanistan. The team has had to go through so much in the last few years. There has been a shadow of doubt for cricket in Afghanistan ever since Taliban took power in 2021. Afghanistan has been given stadiums in India to play and practice till there's peace and stability back in their country. The recent earthquake also took a toll on Afghan players. Rashid Khan was the first to come forward to help the victims. And in the middle of all that pain, anguish, terror and misery, Afghanistan have pulled off a great World Cup campaign. No matter what, happens here on. They beat Sri Lanka, their rivals Pakistan, and even defending world champions England. It truly has been a Cinderella story for this team. And last night would have made it even sweeter. Afghan batters got off to an aggressive start. They took the Aussie bowlers head on. And a 21-year-old Ibrahim Zadran made history for his country. He became the first Afghan to score a century in an ODI World Cup. It was Zadran's unbeaten knock of 129 runs along with a few 30-run cameos from Rahmat Shah and Rashid Khan that helped them post a challenging total of 291 at the Wankhede Stadium, the highest score that Afghanistan have ever scored at a World Cup. The adrenaline in Afghanistan dugout was soaring, and it showed when they came out to bowl. Australian batters struggled against Afghanistan's young pacers. The baggy greens were already down 4 wickets for just 50 runs, thanks to some inspired bowling by Naveen-ul Haq and Azmatullah Omarzai. When Afghanistan's deadly spinners took over and Australia was struggling at 91 runs for the loss of 7 wickets, the turning point of the match happened. Glenn Maxwell was batting at 33 runs when he swept Noor Khan towards the leg side. Maxwell mistimed it and scooped the ball straight towards the hands of Mujibur Rahman, who dropped a simple sitter of a catch, a mistake that cost Afghanistan the match. Afghanistan were in complete control until Maxwell was dropped. Not once, but twice. There was even that leg before appeal while facing Noor that Maxwell thought he was done in by. He was almost on his way to the pavilion when the review showed that the ball was just missing the stumps, bringing in fresh hope. Luck plays its part, but after this, it was the Mad Max show. He reached his 50 in 51 balls, his 100 in 75, 151 in 104 deliveries, and the big double centurion in 127 balls. Yes, a double century. Maxwell went on to play an innings that has gone down in World Cup history books. Here are some of the records that Maxwell broke during his knock. He scored the fastest double century in World Cups. He has become the first Australian to score a double century. Maxwell also set a new record for the highest runs by a batter while chasing, and the first by a number 6. The previous record was held, of course, by Pakistan's Fakhar Zaman, who scored 193 runs against South Africa back in 2021. That was the fastest before Maxwell happened. And Maxwell's double ton is now the second fastest score. He trails India's Ishan Kishan, who scored a double century in just 126 balls against Bangladesh last year. But what made this knock stand out was the physical test it put Max through. Maxwell fought through back and leg cramps, but managed to put on a show. The crowd at Wankhede were loving it. Chants of Maxi echoed in the stadiums. The crowd that was backing an Afghan underdog victory and egging them on was suddenly swayed by this superhuman effort to single-handedly pull the Aussies through. But there was one person who had the best seat to the Maxwell show, and that was Australian captain Pat Cummins, who played a very important innings with the bat and gave company to Maxwell at the crease. The skipper scored 12 runs in 68 deliveries. We're not sure if he wanted to let Maxi score a double century or he just wanted the Maxwell show to go on. But here's what he said after the whirlwind match was over.
I think that's the greatest ODI innings I have ever seen. Probably the greatest ODI innings ever. We were just chatting about it. All the players, and we have decided it's one of those days where you just go, I was there in the stadium the day Glenn Maxwell chased down that total by himself. I'm sure he'll be fine. He was cramping, but I think you saw out there how much he loves playing for Australia. He'll do anything to play. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Maxwell's innings was, of course, appreciated by those who saw it live. Indian legend Sachin Tendulkar was all awe of the match. He commended both Zadran and Maxwell. Michael Vaughan called it the greatest innings of all time. Wasim Akram called it the best ODI innings he had ever seen. Harsha Bhogle called it the greatest white ball innings. Ben Stokes, who's in the middle of a low-performing World Cup, showed his amazement too. Maxwell is definitely a player of all emotions. There's a reason Aussies call him their X Factor.
He's here today for training. I think he's on track as well. I'm not sure his particular timeline, but no doubt he'll be looking to make an impact as soon as he gets his chance. He's got a wealth of experience over here through IPL, through multiple tours. He's certainly an X factor no matter which team he plays in. So, look, what's this? His third One Day World Cup. So yeah, look, he's certainly an X factor for us. He's someone who can really take the game on. His ability with the ball, particularly in these conditions as well, adds to another option, certainly in the bowling department as well.
Well, it's a tag that Maxwell himself has disagreed with in the past, but it's not just cricketers and commentators who are gaga over Maxi's skills. The crowd who saw him live could not believe what they had witnessed. Despite the loss, even Afghani fans admired Maxwell's innings. Aussies who had given up hope were renewed and saw a fantastic turnaround. That's the beauty of cricket and sports in general. The uniting factor transcends rivalries and enmity. This was evident last night. Maxwell's aggressive batting made the Afghans lose their way. But there was only love on both sides because what we saw was no ordinary batting. Maxwell was operating on superhuman levels. There is no comparison, and we agree that a loss is a loss, but we think that even the young Afghans would have been left stunned to see the kind of batting that Maxwell displayed. I can honestly say that those at the stadium were part of a very special face-off. It was a contest where you couldn't really pick sides. You were impressed by a young Afghan nation showing precision at the execution from the start, only to be reminded of what experience, grit and mad hitting can look like. Absolutely magnificent. A seesaw affair that won a true sports fan over. Now, who will face India at the next big hurdle? Could we see an India versus Pakistan semi-final? The answer is yes, and I'll tell you how. The semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup is almost here, knocking on our doors, and only 3 teams have sealed their spots to the top 4. India is in red-hot form. They are unbeaten in the tournament so far, topping the points table in first position. That won't change through to the semi-finals. South Africa, despite that humiliating loss to India in Kolkata, also through to the top 4 in second place. Australia, after that manic display from Glenn Maxwell, who snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, is also through to the semi-finals. That leaves team number 4. Now, who will be the 4th team to fight through and claim that last semi-final spot? Now, I'll tell you the scenarios. There are 3 possible contenders, all 3 sitting at 8 points with just the net run rate differentiating the teams. So like I said earlier, 3 teams sitting at 10 could be a high possibility. But let me break this down to scenarios and what can possibly happen. The first and most likely team to go through is New Zealand. They have a very healthy net run rate. They have to beat Sri Lanka to make it to the semi-final and then hope the other results are favourable. That is, both Afghanistan and Pakistan losing their last matches to South Africa and England, or struggling to win to give them a good head start on the net run rate. But here's what they will pray for the most: no rains in Bengaluru. That, by the way, has seen quite a few showers over the last few days because of washout, and their chances drop drastically. Contender number 2, Afghanistan. They would have surely been in a much better situation had they closed that game against Australia. But having said that, their spot at redemption lies in Pune, where they will have to beat South Africa well to fancy a chance in the top 4. What a position they find themselves in, though, one that they haven't ever been in so far at World Cups. But if New Zealand wins their game, then they will have to win really big because their net run rate is the lowest among the 3 contenders, which brings us to the most interesting one, contender number 3, and one who has done many Houdini acts in cricket before, Pakistan. You can never really underestimate this side. Despite all the odds stacked against them, some bad losses, some inconsistent performances from seniors, reports of players not being paid, and the board and captain seemingly at war, Pakistan is waging a battle on the field and are hoping there is enough left in the tank to power them through to the final 4. So what would they need to do? They will firstly have to record a handsome win over England, a down and out side, to have a good chance to go past the rest. But not just that, if South Africa beats Afghanistan, then they have 1 contender less to fend off. Now comes New Zealand. Pakistan will pray that a miffed and enraged Sri Lanka, after that intense Bangladesh clash, will want to go out on a high and play spoilsport to upset the Kiwi dream. If none else, then some prayers and offerings to rain gods. So this is one interesting 3-way battle for the final spot at the Cricket World Cup. The one who edges past will, of course, face India in Mumbai. Now, if that happens to be Pakistan, then the match could be shifted to Kolkata. So hang on to your seatbelts because this ride can get a little rough. Now, there was a time when men's tennis revolved around the big 3, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal and Novak Jovic. Federer has permanently hung his rackets. Nadal is on the verge of retirement. He has not been able to overcome injuries which has kept him out of the court since January 2023. Now there's one man standing strong, Serbian sensation Novak Jovic, who is still dominating the playing field. 36-year-old Jovic is number 1 in world rankings. His fiercest competitor is world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz. The age gap between the two is 16 years. Djokovic has dominated the young Spaniard in all formats of tennis. The Serbian has won 27 compared to Alcaraz's 23 in the 50 times they have faced off. When the two have met in finals, Djokovic has won on 13 occasions as compared to Alcaraz's 6. Despite the age gap, how does Djokovic do it? How does he return year after year and still retain his number 1 spot?
Novak Djokovic continues to rewrite the record books. He has just extended his sizable title lead by winning the Paris Masters. He beat Bulgaria's Grigor Dimitrov to clinch his 40th ATP Masters 1000 title. But the win came at a big cost. After the clouds of celebration subdued, Djokovic dropped a few reality bombs. He spoke about the stomach virus that affected him, which took a toll on his health, making it difficult for him to play. Djokovic said that the upset stomach made him feel dizzy and dehydrated. But the Serbian didn't let that stop him. He powered through to win the Paris Masters and called it a special win.
A very challenging week, I think, also off the court, dealing with the stomach virus that really took a lot of energy out of me. But somehow, I managed to I guess, find this extra energy when it was most needed, particularly in the days of Thursday, Friday and Saturday, where I was probably closer to losing these matches than winning. So considering what happened in the last 6-7 days, this win is definitely one of the most special wins in the Masters 1000 category.
That's the mindset of a winner. Even though Djokovic is a veteran, he still has the fire of a young player hungry for wins. And Djokovic is clear that he still has some steam in him. The thought of retiring is still a while away.
At these stages of my career, and I don't even know in which stages of my career I am anymore, but I think that every win on the big tournament maybe values double nowadays.
For Djokovic, each win is sweeter than the previous one. It looks like he's enjoying the challenge that his aging body gives him. And he's clearly not done yet. When asked if he was playing to extend his records or win the next big title, here's what he said.
Both, why not, I'm going for whatever I can go for. And I'm very close. I think I need one win to clinch the year number 1. So that was the biggest goal other than, Davis Cup for the end of the year. Now it's going to be recovery time, definitely next 3-4 days to really leave the racket aside and just spend time with the family and just recharge. And then go to Torino, where every match is going to be like finals, of a big tournament, because you play a top 8 player.
Both, said Djokovic. He wants to win more titles and retain the number 1 rank. That's a massive level of ambition, even while he's nearing 40. And then he spoke about the need for recovery, which shows that winning takes precedence for him. Djokovic has the mindset of a fighter, one who feels he's still young at heart. His brain says so, even if his body sometimes disagrees.
Now, time for last serve, our parting shot, something that we'll leave you with. And today we get you some colourful pictures from Hong Kong. The country is hosting the world's first gay games. Not without resistance, of course, but the crowds have come in large numbers to participate and support the games. Take a look. Well, that does it here on Firstpost. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did presenting it to you. But for now, we'll take your leave. Bye-bye. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m.